What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 92, and probably the second last part of my Total Warhammer 3 Zhatan the Black Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we began fighting off the endgame scenario of enemy Chaos Dwarfs. So I suppose a civil war isn't too far-fetched for Chaos Dwarfs. I do believe it does make at least some sense, even if it's not what we wanted. Anyway, last time we got Namtar to fight himself a first blood, well, second blood, I guess, a battle, and make use of those minotaurs of his and his reward army in general, and Kigel Skolsons was the one who drew first blood against whatever this little army was. And I mean was, as it's been destroyed, defeated, and we're gonna auto-resolve it and make sure that it does not return. Lovely. We're going to heal you up, Kigel, and in fact, we're going to have you leave this place. But the thing is, there is one more army belonging to these guys all the way out here, and there is, by the looks of it, no way to turn, to get Silostra, rather, to actually declare war on them. So we're, oh, not you, Tech Thief, I didn't mean to send you there. I guess we need to get Kigel going over there. I was going to send him through the drill, invasion tunnel, whatever, to go after Luktaz the Cruelest, but we can get to Hargrimaz to do it for us, or one of these guys instead. Zhatan is also approaching there, but yeah, we need to take you out, and we need to take you out, and I don't see any more of these guys. Well, yeah, there's also the one that's right in the middle of our completely undefended territory over here, but we'll deal with you as we go. Anyway, we're going to start the episode of having Rykar the Red, our fire army, attack these two. They are standing together in march stance, and I think Rykar should be able to take care of them without too much problem. Since you're the fire army, we're going to give you the bones of the Maw, or I guess we could give the bones of the Maw to, for example, the Castellan? Now, you know what? You can have the bones of the Maw. Not super needed, but the extra little armor would be helpful to you, while you are going to be more of a fighty sort of lord, and I guess we can give you, you know what, let's give you the armor of Bajorak the Cruel. Spell resistance plus armor, considering you'll be casting repeatedly. The black gem will give you physical resistance, and don't really care about the black gem, to be perfectly honest. Lately, we've been giving everybody Executioner's axes, or at least last episode we were. Let's give you... your weapon strength is decent. I wasn't going to give you an Obsidian Blade, that's more for Overseers. We'll give you Sword of Bloodshed, for example. A little bit higher melee attack, because it's generally low on these guys. I think that works. Talisman, I think there was a Talisman... armor piercing weapon damage, that's not bad. For an offensive sort of one. A Vial of Kashut, you know what, you're a caster, let's make you a super caster. And lots of fire stuff, so fire weakness, and then we'll give you, not the Mask of the Furnace, though I do like the sound of it, the Malignant Totem, to do the debuffs, or wait. Vial of Kashut or Furnace Blast Gem for Hellhammer, well I guess you can already use Hellhammer. Let's just do this. And then we'll give you the Malignant Totem as well for even more casting, and then Arcane Item, I guess we'll just give you the Book of Assure, though even probably it doesn't matter that much. Oh, and Dwemer a Leech Orb, eh? Power Recharge, reserves per second, enemy reduction. Oh yeah, you know what, let's do that. Dwemer Leech Orb. As long as there's an enemy caster to actually use it on, you are an Overseer and you are a Sorcerer Prophet of Metal. Fantastic. Alrighty, Fire Army. I'm going to be very interested to see how well you do against all these guys, because there's a lot of enemies with fire resistance, and you're completely based around doing fire damage, so let's see. We're not going to bring Raider Rurikaz just to make the battle a little bit more difficult, and 2 versus 1. Alright, Pyrrhic Victory apparently, with high casualties. We have access to all of our support abilities, however, and are generally higher level and have better units than the enemy does, especially because of the manufactory. So, here we go. Let's see if that fire resistance is enough for them. Alrighty, here we go. Rykarth the Red. You gotta enjoy this 1 versus 2 battle, my friend, as this may be the only difficult battle you get. This is both your debut and possibly your whatever the opposite of a debut is as well. We shall have to see. Really depends on how we take care of those other armies. Oh, I like this map. Yeah, I feel like it's been far, far too long since we fought in the Darklands in general. It's nice to see all of these Chaos Dwarf aspects to the land and the factories and everything around. Fantastic. Gotta love these industrial maps. Anyway, we're going to start the battle out by annoying the enemy as best we can with those Dreadquake mortars. We obviously do have the Burninators, i.e. the Tzeentch units, in this particular army as well, so hopefully the enemy will get close enough to us for us to get some use out of the various flamers. I still find it a little bit bizarre that the Chaos Dwarfs don't have anything that resembles a flamer in their roster, whereas the regular dwarfs do have Iron Drakes, and basically the faction that's probably the most obsessed with fire doesn't have a flamethrower unit. I mean, yes, it does have the Demon's Tongue, which technically has a flamethrower on it, but it is a regiment of renown, so yeah. Am I the only one that seems that feels that that's a little bit weird? But anyway, not that it's super important. Here we go. It's time for the abilities and the spells to come out. An Ash Storm coming down into the center of the enemy, and then we obviously follow that up as best we can with spells. A Flame Storm, Flames of Ashgore, then the Dreadquake Mega Mortars, and the summoning of the Kadai Fireborn, which we usually use first before using all the spells, but in this case there was no need as the enemy got slowed down by the Ash Storm. Anyway, Doom of Kashut gonna follow up, and it looks like the magical damage is gonna be working overtime, especially with the support from the magma cannons and the regular Dreadquake. A lot of this army is going to be very heavily damaged by the time they get to us, if they manage to do anything. That said, though, the enemy does have a second army where that came from, so we'll see about dishing out regular damage to those guys. We also have a Rykarth who's going to be dueling the enemy Overseer up in the air, and it looks like the battle should go to Rykarth, especially by virtue of his items, resistances, and abilities, and much, much higher level as well, and not having too difficult of a time despite the relative similarity of the enemy melee stats. Oh, and it looks like some Gobos, some Wolf Raiders are standing out here, maybe trying to get something accomplished, but unfortunately for them, they've been sighted by the Fire Glaives, who are going to pew-pew them off those wolves, or warg, whatever they're called here. Wolves, I think. Yeah, it is Wolf Raiders, so it is wolves. Here we go. I'm just listening to the Fire Glaives fire because I love that sound. Anyway, looks like that poor unit of Wolf Raiders got absolutely ripped apart despite not being able to draw anywhere near to us. The enemy has moved in a bunch of flying reinforcements, however, to bail out the enemy lords, so we're going to move Rykarth away. Another unit of Wolf Raiders with bows this time has approached, and maybe we can get a nice volley off from our flamers. I don't know if this should be called a volley, but you know what I mean. And there we go. Burn some Wolf Raiders. Let's see, that single volley basically shattered their HP, or both their HP and their leadership. One more volley should make sure that they rout, if they survive, or for those that do survive. There we go. 2 volleys to get them to rout. Fantastic. Here come more enemy units. One of the Kadai Fireborn has found an enemy Lamasu, which is taking off its magical damage and does have a little bit of support from an enemy unit of Chaos Dwarf Warriors. The center line enemies have also approached, but this will allow our Flamers to continue doing work as well. Unfortunately, the fire resistance on our Kadai should keep the Flamers from dishing out too much damage to them, which is why we built the army out like this. It was all on purpose. There we go. Burn them all, whatever color of the flame. I thought that we had... maybe I should have built a couple of... I wish that you could build more than 4 4 unit types, so that we could also have the, as in via allegiance from your allies, so that we could have warp fire throwers in here as well for some green flame to add to all this. And frankly, the green flame would have probably fit in better with the red color scheme that we have here, although the pink flame also does as well. Oh, shot into the air, nice. And, ooh, that looks like it did some damage, but yeah, the Exalted Flamers do fairly well at the single target sort of thing, so that's hardly surprising. Anyway, it looks like this first army is pretty much broken. Most of their infantry got ripped apart by the magics and bound army abilities and artillery, whereas those enemies that closed the distance got stopped by the walking barns that are by the Kadai destroyers and burninated by our various flamer units. Lovely, and ooh, any unit that tries to run away will just get knocked down by the Infernal Guard with fire glaives. Alright, fantastic. First army is dead, and we will be moving on to the second. I decided to annoy the enemy second army and block them off with our Kadai Fireborn as well, partly so that they were unable to join the foray, and partly to get them all nice and blobbed up and allow our artillery to get a couple of shots off. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for the enemy army, but let's face it, they would have had no chance since their first army got brought down so quick, and frankly, we need to, just in case, maintain HP on Reichardt's army, as he will probably need to fight again. And there's still a lot of these armies to work through after all. The Flames of Asgore coming down with that usage of the Ash Storm. Here come our Kadai Destroyers as well, moving together towards the enemy army. It looks like they did break apart our summoned Kadai Fireborn, but now they have to deal with the non-summoned Destroyers and all that, and all those buffs, those crazy buffs that they've got. All the while, mortar shells arc overhead and drop down into the enemy infantry forces. Alright, it's some Kadai on Kadai action. Unfortunately, whatever reason, the devs decided that the Kadai would just look like this, as in there's no identifying color scheme on them, but I guess the demons all work like that, don't they? Like, you can't tell one demon from another demon, even if they're fighting against each other. I guess the demons don't really want to wear flags or paint their armor to Zhatan's color scheme. Which is a shame, but oh well. Alrighty, destroyers just towering over and ripping apart their inferior versions in the Kadai Fireborn, and there we go. Looks like the rest of them will melt away. The destroyers will win, and the battle will be Reichardt's. Also, isn't it so appropriate that the lord that we have, who's named the Red, is the one that got the fire army? I think it's appropriate. I love it. Alrighty, well done, Reichard the Red. Your debut battle certainly saw you destroy those two enemy armies with no problems whatsoever. Got a little bit of play on our flamers, but honestly, it wasn't even really that needed, as the enemy just sort of failed to get to our battle lines. It didn't give the fire glaives much to do there either. Gotta love those army abilities, and the fact that we're up at 195, or 205 rather, max mana. It is quite a lot, and allows us to cast so many things. Anyway, we're gonna go for the conscript captives option here, and technically speaking, Reichard could go after Ulrich Vargash here, but what we may be able to do is have this little army go after him as well, just for the fun of it. A little bit of variety in terms of battles. Either way, we're going to send Raider Rurikaz here through the Chaos Dwarf invasion tunnel, which will take him right back here, where this little army is, and that we're going to hope to chase down. So traverse that, please. Rift entered, and then I don't know why it sent us here, and that should only take a turn or so. Though by then, these guys will actually have some troops. I actually wonder whether the 6 Great Tauruses might be able to defeat this army. They'd certainly get damaged, but they have a lot of buffs on them to this point, especially with regards to the especially with regards to the stuff that they now have access to. So maybe it's not needed, we shall see, as in combination with the army-bound abilities that we have. Anyway, next up is, I guess, this guy, Ulrich Vargash. Now, Recruiter, Sundry, or Logazor, who should be taking the army, can't reach him, unfortunately, so we're gonna have to send a recruiter. On top of that, I think this army, since our other range army, by the looks of it, won't be able to get into combat, even though we've already tried that army, we will send, I guess, an all-range army in this manner. You are going to trade, let's say, we need you to have casters, and we need you to have a couple, okay, so we need you to have 4 heroes, It's quite a bit. Okay, here's what we'll do. Troop train. You are going to trade these 2 Warplug Jezzails, just to have them in the army, for the 2 Infernal Ironsworn and 2 of those blunderbusses. There we go. You'll make the basis of another army. Then you are going to start moving forward, like so. And we'll give you a couple of casters. First of all, or actually we'll give you... What kind of casters do we want? You're a Demonsmith Sorcerer of Hashut. That certainly works. As long as you can still reach the enemy army, and it looks like you can. And I want another Demonsmith Sorcerer of probably Fire. And those 2 work well together. Metal I see, Taudak I see, Hashut, Metal... Oh, do we not have a Fire Sorcerer? Oh, there's one right there. Alright, you can go in here as well. And then we'll get 2 Castellans, 1... And another one in here should be like so. Alright, that should be enough, and then we can attack this army in a second. I'm going to give them the points, but I think this army won't need items. As in, it's a single army, and it's in March stance, and the March stance kind of screws it over. Oversee... Oh, you can't be reset, so we won't be able to buff our army. Damn, I was kind of banking on you being resettable. You can be reset, though. But can you reach the enemy army? Is the question. Yeah, you can. Alright, so we'll put you here, we'll transfer the units, and then hopefully we'll have you do it for us. You can still reach him. Transfer, please. I hope I didn't screw this up and we can no longer reach him. And no, we can still reach. Fantastic. So, Recruiter Hammerfist. No longer a recruiter, I guess, even though you have Miserly. Reset your skills, and we're gonna get you to buff everybody with firing drills, because that's the main thing that this army needs. And then I guess Hellforged Ordnance as well. And then we can, since they're high level, benefit from it, so we're going to go for Bloodied Bombardment and Stand or Die. Then we're going to get you a Thirst for Magic in combination with Careful Casting to get that cooldown reduced. Not that I expect you to be casting all that much, mind you, but just in case. Root Marcher is not needed here. If we're going to cast something, it'll probably be Gehenna's Golden Hounds rather than Searing Doom, because it's a ranged army, and... Oh, actually... Maybe Glittering Robe would have more value, although, honestly, hard to say. Honestly, probably won't matter either way. Let's go Metal... Nah, it's also not really worth it. Let's go Glittering Robe. Wait, does level 1 even have the ability to... No, level 1 without being over... You know what, let's go on Yielding Command instead, screw it. Then you guys, real quick through all this. Fortunately, since we have max amount of points, we could do this super quick, just give you all the abilities. Ah man, isn't it crazy, the ability to recruit everybody at rank 50 immediately? Cooldown reductions, and then max everything out for you. Earthing, Magical Reserves, and 3 points in Mentor. You are up next, do the exact same thing. Scouting, I don't even need to do scouting, I guess, but, well, while it's here, I guess. And... I really wish that there was a way to, you know, copy the, like, skill assignments that you've done, so you could click a button and then have it, like, have a saved skill assignment do that, because for all of our casters and all of our other units, it's basically the same, so... Oh well. Not a big deal, mind you. And Inspiring Inferno. There we go, that's the one. And more powder, hard to hit, mentor, gunsight, always ready, scarred vet, and I don't think we care about all that stuff. And then do the same thing with you, and then we attack. Increase mobility, infernal slugs, warmatic, inspiring inferno. Alright, any second now. I swear. Alright, there we go, nearly there. Mentor, I don't know why I keep doing mentor, just in case some of the other armies actually end up fighting. There we go, looks good to me. Recruiter Hammerfist, time to show that you're not just a recruiter, you're a Hammerfist of all trades. Pyrrhic victory and high casualties. We actually have a little bit of a reinforcement since they sacked the place, and they do still have all that fire resistance on. Oh! Oh yeah, so their troops are, what, they're equivalent to ours? Wait, you're telling me they use the exact same... I think they use the exact same buffs that we do. Oh, that's crazy. Huh. Oh, that's also really interesting. Wait, so we've been fighting them with their crazy buffs this entire time? Man, really? We used all that manufactory stuff just to buff our enemy? Oh, game. How dare you. How dare you. Or maybe it's a bug, I don't know. We'll see if, for example, these guys have sundering attacks in the middle of the battle, and speaking in the middle of the battle, let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. Warplock Jezzails. I've been excited to get a few of these into a few of our armies. Not that they're super necessary, mind you, but I do think that they would work fairly well with an army of fireglaves and artillery, because they sort of would fire in between those units, as in as the enemy dropped out of the range of the artillery and got closer, then the Jezzails would fire, and then after the Jezzails, it would be the enemy, or the Fireglaves. And then after the Fireglaves, potentially the Blunderbusses. Anyway, the Jezzails are going to start off by focusing down the enemy Fireborn here, 2 on the Destroyer and 2 on the Fireborn as well, or just focus down the Kadai, rather. Alright, love those effects of the Jezzail bullets, though it makes them quite easy to see, though I assume they're too fast moving to dodge for most things. Alright, looking pretty good there. I know, at least the Kadai Destroyer does seem to have the color scheme of the enemy. Oh, I actually really like the look here. It's nice and it's nice and bright and very shiny. Though it won't be shiny for long as we try to banish the thing with judicious application of Warpstone bullets. Alrighty, looks like the enemy is going to counteract that by casting a Searing Doom on one of our units of Jezzails. Going to run forward to dodge that, though it will clip the unit a little bit. It doesn't look like it took all that much damage. The Jezzails have also, by the looks of it, knocked out one of the enemy units of infantry here, the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and that Kadai Destroyer will be out of the picture soon as well. And obviously with a little bit of help from our artillery pieces. There we go, looks like our Castellan are firing as well, and these are the shotgun Castellan as well, so they can do decent damage with the AoE ability. I'm gonna back off a little bit with our Jezzails, rather than allow the enemy Hobgoblins to reach us, and then allow our Fireglaves to fire, absolutely ripping those poor sneaky gits apart, and keeping our Jezzails safe, whereas the Jezzails can continue focusing down that Kadai Destroyer, since they don't do fire damage. And thus the Destroyer isn't all that resistant to it. Not that that matters all that much, as the Destroyer will finally get brought down. Oh, I like the way that the fires inside the armor can get distinguished, and only the armor is left kind of reminiscent a little bit of the Soul Grinders. Though I've always been a little bit surprised that the Soul Grinders, the demon bodies remain. It's not just the metal. You would think that the demon bodies would get banished as well. But anyway, it looks like the enemy have failed to reach our main line here, and then continue to try to do so. Some Fireborn try to move towards the blunderbusses, but are only going to learn how devastating the blunderbusses are. And there we go, a few more shots into these guys, and ooh, it looks like they've activated their burrowing ability as they try to charge forward, but with 4 units remaining and barely any leadership, they will shatter and get banished. Looks like the enemy is managing to fire a few shots back into our Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses with their own set of fire glaives, but not for long as the Giselles and magma cannons bring them down. Well, 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 a unit of Bull Centaur renders out here as well, but I think that's just more work for the Giselles. The magma cannons aren't going to do too much to this, but I do imagine the Giselles should be able to bring them down if they even need to, because it looks like the enemy army with that will shatter, and the Giselles will win the day. Well, with a little bit of help from the rest of the army. Cool, a little fight. We managed to hold off whatever enemy units tried to move up through this little ramp here by defending with the Infernal Guard, and then these Infernal Guard Fire Glaives did support here, while the Giselles did, well, a lot of the work, let's say. But ultimately, the enemy army really failed to reach our battle lines, which is exactly what you want with these ranged armies. Alrighty, there we go. Range superiority and Warplock Giselles adding their fire and doing a fairly considerable amount of damage, out-damaging everybody except the few of those blunderbusses, though the blunderbusses do more damage when the enemies are up close, but the range is so much more on the Giselles that they get to fire for a lot longer. So, good job to Giselles. We will heal up in case this army gets attacked, which it very well could, because these guys might decide to abandon the effort to attack Zharr and attack this instead. Now, there's 2 options. I wanted to use Logazor the Dominator here to actually command this army, so I think we're still going to take Recruiter Hammerfist's forces and transfer them to Logazor. And now we could approach Zharr, but I still kind of want to see the defense if the game allows it to happen, which obviously we don't know. Either way, Recruiter Hammerfist, you're going to leave the place for now, and Logazor, you're going to stay right there. Damn, this place doesn't have, well, it didn't or doesn't now have defenses, but oh well. You can sit there, and if these guys want to attack you together, well, then you'll have to deal with it. A Rykarth, you can also... Actually, no, there's no way that they attack you, because a Rykarth will be on approach. In fact, maybe I should have told him to go this way, because these guys are... This little army is going to go here somewhere. Well, we'll have somebody catch it, I guess. In fact, no, you can't move any further anyway. Alright, that's fine, that's fine. Alrighty, anybody else can move, or can anybody else move, and can we move anybody else? Well, okay, that's the same thing. Can anybody attack is what I'm trying to get at. First of all, Scaff Stonebeard, you're gonna have to go after this guy here, so try to get into friendly territory and chase him down and kill him. Same thing over here, we've tried, well, we've already moved out Kagel, so he's the only one who's close by. Zhatan has not yet arrived, but will do so next turn, and I would love to end the turn, so where the heck are you going? Why are you going to Blizzard Peak? Well, that's suspicious. Our military allies, he doesn't like something, and oh, it looks like a lot of factions don't like something. Huh, I wonder what happened. The heck? Why is everybody hating on us? Oh, it's just the ruler's prejudice increased due to the curse of the Sword of Cain. Yeah, okay, that's fine, that's fine. We also want to do something about this, as in continue recruiting units. Let's see. I guess we just recruit whatever we have room for. Alright. Just to make an army. So global recruit whatever you can out of all this. It doesn't really matter. Oh, look at that. We could get a lot of Kadai Fireborn and a Lamasu. Just a blob of units to attack the enemy with. Hey, Biraz the Petitas. I guess you're not the only Petitas. You take after Nabua. Alright, and I believe that is it, so we can end the turn and see if these guys attack us. You know what, just in case. Actually, I was about to say, just in case they attack here, but they won't. They won't. I'm just gonna hope that they attack Sistit, and we're taking attrition damage as well. Please attack this turn. We've been waiting. Skip, 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 skip. Convoys skip as well. End turn. Let's see what these guys do. I kind of forgot that Ostrogoth could move, but whatever. Not super important considering the army that was out here is dead anyway, and we are very far from any drills. Oh, I was also going to send an assassin out there to follow a few armies along. Can the enemies use the drill passages? As in, can, for example, Carl or somebody out there just move into a drill and arrive into our heartland? Oh, damn, I should have moved Nabua. Yeah, okay, my bad. My bad, I wanted to send him out to sea and maybe to the elves to see if we could get there by the time the end game is over, but I guess we shall have to see. Did Ostrogoth really receive another plague? What the heck is up with that army and getting all the plagues all the time? Not that it matters much, mind you, as these aren't Skaven plagues. Ikit Claw is going to ask us to join war against Britonia, and we're not going to bother because we don't care. They're already pretty screwed anyway. How's Silostra doing out there? Oh, right, there's also that little army that was in Silostra's territory. We're going to have to keep an eye on it / see where it goes and hopefully destroy it. Alright, Overlords of ZHARDUKK is going to attack Biraz the Petitas outside of the walls. Oh, okay. Well, I screwed up because I didn't assign him any points. And here I thought that that they wouldn't dare because we have all these units out here. Nonetheless, I think they're going to have a bad time even without the points assigned, so here we go. Alright, here we go. Certainly not what we were preparing for exactly. Let's see if the 6 Bale or regular Great Tauruses, all while very tired due to the march stance on them, will be sufficient here. We do have our Lord here as well, though, and he is level 49, though, well, let's just say his skills are limited because I didn't spend those points, but oh well, and what can you do? We do have our reinforcements coming in on the field as well, and they're decent, if nothing else, and it looks like the enemy will not go directly towards us, kind of interestingly. So I see that despite the fact that we have nothing but flying units, the thing that makes you lose if you have nothing but flying units doesn't actually apply if you have reinforcements coming in, which is kind of interesting. Huh, so if you have a follower army that has foot troops, you can then have an army that has nothing but air troops? Okay, so usually, so for those who don't know, for those who are not watching my other campaigns, I do have a tendency to build a air army in pretty much any campaign where I think it's actually possible for that particular faction to do it. And what I've always done is get a single ground troop in that particular army, and generally, if possible, one that has stock or can hide. But in this particular case, maybe it's not actually necessary, and it may not be necessary all that much in the future. Anyway, the battle will begin. We're going to have our Great Taurus's mob, the enemy Sorcerer Prophet, and, well, it's 6 versus 1, so tired or not, they should be able to bring him down. We're also going to summon our Kadai Fireborn, not to block those blobs of enemy units, but instead to try to go after the enemy blunderbusses, who are obviously going to be the biggest threat on the field. Gotta prevent those guys from dishing out all the damage. Enemy lords drop by about 3/4 of his HP. We're gonna get that Ash Storm on the field in the biggest blob of enemies, and frankly, they did a pretty good job of blobbing up themselves without us having to do it for them. Alright, looks like a decent bit of damage on the enemy between the Flame and Shadow and the Mega Mortar Barrage, dishing out, well, not killing all those units, bringing 3 units down below 1/4 of their HP. We've also nearly killed off one of those units of blunderbusses, and the other one is, well, let's just say damage. A Bale Taurus Breath coming in from our Lord, and the enemy Lord is just about to drop out of the sky. I didn't watch this portion of the fight because I genuinely can't see anything that's going on over here. here. It is far, far too dark. And there we go. Well, at least we can see the Abale Tauruses, or the Great Tauruses, smite his ruin upon the mountainside. Anyway, it looks like the enemy has charged in. A unit of Bull Centaur renders charges forth. We're going to send the Hobgoblin Cutthroats in to take hits, not just from the enemy, but from our own blunderbusses as well, while they dish out the damage. Our Hell Cannon is firing as best it can into the biggest blobs of enemies that it can find, and we are marching in with our Marauder Berserkers, because we have that outpost here, helping out those Gobos and trying to fight the enemy Gobos. Alrighty, and Chaos Dwarf Warriors as they move in. Oh, those are actually Infernal Guard that are moving in. Okay, so the Berserkers are probably not going to be winning that engagement, but heck, and they can still give it a try. Besides, all of these units are just here to distract while our Hell Cannon and our Blunderbusses do the real damage, plus of course any help we can get from the other range units and the Great Tauruses and our Lords. Speaking of, these guys do seem to be holding on fairly decently, including the Berserkers, while our Tauruses have found a big blob of enemy units. We're going to try to break those apart. I'm going to drop some spells on them as well, which will probably do a little bit of damage to our Tauruses, but I don't imagine it'll hurt them all that much because they're single entities after all, so it shouldn't be all that threatening. There we go. Nice Mega Mortar Barrage, and it looks like these units at the very least are pretty much broken, and ooh, that was so much damage by the looks of it that the enemy army is actually getting very upset and are starting to actually rout. I'm actually shocked at how well that worked, and it looks like these guys are not going to break through the Berserkers after all, as the Berserkers will instead be able to hold the ground. Fantastic. Alrighty, well, it looks like at least this time around we're going to get a few of those burning wraths into the enemy to try to dish out a little bit of extra damage as well. There's a Doom of Hashut coming down into the biggest blob of enemies as well, and by the looks of the number of corpses there, that one did pretty well. Alrighty. Fantastic. Now it's time to chase off those enemies. Honestly, this worked so much better than I thought it would. I thought we were going to have to fight down to the last unit in this particular fight, as the enemy obviously, well, the AI clearly thought it could win here because it wouldn't have attacked us otherwise, and the vanilla AI as opposed to the SFO AI is an absolute coward and will only fight when it really thinks it can win. So yeah, and then of course we were in March stance on top of all that, so nonetheless, well done everybody. I guess the AI / the auto-resolve does really underestimate those army abilities, and maybe this will be the last battle where we ever use those army abilities, as in, I want to round out the campaign with a lot of infantry action and just units killing each other, rather than having our abilities do all the work, or at least a lot of the work, I should say. Alrighty, well, it looks like the Bale Taurus, the non-Bale Tauruses, the regular Great Tauruses are more than sufficient to take care of this, especially with a little bit of reinforcement help and all those bound army abilities, a lack of magic or not. Anyway, that's the end of that army, and they will not attack Zharr. They are still too scared to do so, huh? That means I'll immobilize against settlement. This army is nearly good to go. We're gonna send Gorth the Cruel to kill it for his final battle of the campaign. Hopefully they build up a little bit more. Astrogoth has that plague that we saw, and oh, I have Hashut. Weapon damage causes terror and armor-piercing weapon damage. Oh, nice. Huh. Interesting that we haven't got that throughout the entire campaign. And Raider Rurikaz has arrived here, but he is not needed. Let's have these guys finish off this pathetic little army. Auto-resolve it. And let me guess, the bulls are going to get more damage than they did in the actual battle. Of course they will, but who cares? Lovely. And we can retake this settlement to once again be ours. How dare they try to hold on to a settlement like this? Alright, and occupied as, I honestly don't remember if it was a factory or an outpost here. How about factory? I remember that this place was a mixed half factory, half outpost, and I think this one was supposed to be a factory, or an outpost rather, for the raw materials out, but whatever. Not that we're gonna do any more admin, because it no longer is of any use to us, and... Huh? Wait. More enemy armies spawned? Wait. Are you telling me that... I'm gonna take a look around, because if more enemy armies spawned, there may be more of them in other places. I don't see any. This army needs to still be destroyed. We'll still have to sail over to it, which is going to take ages. But, well, Kigel, I guess you're the only one who can do the job, because you're the closest. And hopefully you don't run into elves or something on the way. I'd once again love to tell these guys to be at war, but I don't think they're going to jump on it. Join war against overlords of ZHARDUKK. Minus 49. Yeah, there's nothing we can offer them because we don't hold any territory that's near them for it, so... Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okie dokie. And I believe then... Let's see, Scaff, can you reach this guy? It looks like no. You can land near him. But it looks like we're probably going to have to wait to actually knock him out until next turn. He's probably going to run from us, but the question is, can he run far enough? It's a damaged army, and we just really need to chase it down. Not really anything else. So that will be taken care of, and as soon as that one is dead, we'll only have the army here and the ton of armies left in this place. By the looks of it, these three armies are together, so we might be able to fight three armies at the same time. This guy's... and they are building. This guy's over here, this guy's building as well. You... can probably reach this army soon. Zhatan should have arrived as well. I'm not sure he'll be needed, mind you, but he can at least try to get up here, and just in case. Anyway, with that, I think I'm going to call this episode here. We will be going through as many of these enemy armies as possible in the next episode and seeing if we can finish up the campaign. So stay tuned for what will probably be the finale episode. I'm still going to give it a try after all those armies to try to get Nabua to at least have one fight somewhere else, ideally to attack Lothern, though I don't know if we can get there. And honestly,
even the lawmaster.
if we meet a full stack somewhere in the sea before we get there, that would be fantastic. Hopefully it doesn't fall to one of these armies out here. Our allies are doing work, but it does seem to be a stalemate here, and frankly, yeah, we could continue the campaign until we destroy everything, but honestly, nobody really stands a chance against us, and there really isn't much of a need anymore at this point in time. Anyway, calling it here. Stay tuned for the final episode next time. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.